It is day 13, 9:55 a.m. in the Big Brother UK All-Stars house. After turbulent and erratic weather yesterday, it seems to be all sun outside today in our newly remodeled garden. Meanwhile, inside the kitchen, we have Gary hosting and bartending a little group of Victor, Emma, and Courtney, as Gary obviously bartends in his underwear. Duh. And it seems as though Courtney is a little bit sick and feeling under the weather, so we're going to keep an eye out on that just to make sure. Meanwhile, Pete is feeling better than ever in the storage room as he hops around in trash and plays and gets as filthy as possible. In the bedroom, Brian and Cameron seem closer than ever as Big Brother is turning on the lights for the day. It seems as though Rylan is still upset from last night and is still kind of afraid over the storm. Meanwhile, Makosi is feeling better than ever as she prances around naked. It is Harvest Day today. They will not be celebrating, however, you will see the gnomes sporadically scattered throughout the house. So you can keep an eye out for those and see if they're moving around or not. We see that Nadia is starting off her morning by vacuuming in the bedroom and making sure every housemate is awake. Meanwhile, we can't forget about our 3 house guests in solitary confinement. We, of course, have Isabelle. She has been probably the least active and productive. She's often just standing around and making a mess, starting an action and then not finishing it. Meanwhile, Hellen has just been working out almost the entire time that she's been in solitary confinement, constantly just doing sit-ups and push-ups, standing for a little bit, maybe cooking some food, and then going back to working out. Meanwhile, Gemma has done nothing but stay on her phone. That, again, doesn't work. She just kind of taps around on it, looks for data, looks for service, and scrolls through pictures and game apps and stuff like that. At 10:32 a.m., Big Brother goes ahead and gathers all of the Ministry of Truth members and sends them for their shift in room 101.
Blash Begoya. Ooh.
Most, if not all, the boys are in the bathroom this morning, all gathered together. It seems as though Victor is upset. Meanwhile, Cameron and Craig both cheer on Brian in the mirror for whatever reason. We see Victor glitching out. Of course, we still have some glitches going on. Hopefully after the update that we have released today and all the mods get updated, everything will be good to go eventually, but we'll have to wait and see on that. Pete has finally made his way to the bathroom to take a shower and wash all that trash grime off of himself. Meanwhile, right outside the bathroom, we have a little conversation going on between Courtney, Brian, and Emma. Makosi is still naked at the end of the bedroom. However, it doesn't seem as though Nikki and Nadia mind at all. All of them are kind of having little girls talk, little girls powwow. Makosi is a bit bruised and banged up. I think from an incident with Hellen robbing her or something like that. I'm not exactly too sure what that's about. But all the girls are kind of dishing out, talking about all the drama, and not even batting an eye at Makosi being fully naked.
Planide Veruda, Quofi, Dopki Fin.
Charley joins the boys in the bathroom. They all kind of sit in the middle and chat. We have Craig, Cameron, and Charley talking. Meanwhile, Brian kind of glitches out during his interaction with Courtney. It seems to be going pretty well, and I actually thought it was a good conversation that was going to begin, especially since it started off with a hug and everything. But soon, Courtney gets mischievous with him, and it doesn't seem to go over too well.
Oh, drip.
Victor has joined the girls in the bedroom, and it really is no surprise as yesterday Makosi and Victor started flirting, and they did woohoo, and now we have our first kind of showmance going on in the house, which is interesting because Victor did nominate her for eviction. And it looks as though our big boss Emma is not too happy about the mess going on in the house. At 12:06 p.m., our Ministry of Truth is still hard at work in room 101. We see Gary is back to his usual spot in the corner, staring at a cobweb with a spider on it. That's pretty much what he does the entire time he's in here. Meanwhile, things start to get a little spicy as Bear and New York have a little moment in the bathroom just together. But right when they start really flirting, of course, Davina ends up coming in and kind of cock-blocking the whole thing. She instantly starts talking and distracting them and really taking out the romance that's in the air, apart from the fumes from the prison toilet they have right next to them. Again, Bear continues to keep trying to flirt, and it does seem to be going well, apart from Davina being right there.
Suna nibnub. Susu.
Susu.
Eventually, Bear even takes Davina out of the bathroom and kind of tells her to, like, shoo off. I wasn't going to say the other word, but it actually ends up making Davina go all the way to the diary room, where she kind of goes there to escape the group, which isn't her first time doing that here in room 101. She's often the one that goes and tries to take a break in the diary room, which I think would be me, honestly. Be like, let me just go sit here by myself instead of being with you guys. However, Bear goes straight back into the bathroom to continue flirting with New York, and now he's pretty persistent about this, especially because he is nominated for eviction this week, and it is up to you guys to save him, whether you want to save him, Gary, or Hellen. That's all up to you in your comments down below. So with him only having a remaining couple hours left in the house, he is really going full force with this showmance with New York, and he even manages to get his first kiss.
Oh, Peppa.
At 1:49 p.m., a lot of the boys have made their way outside into the garden to gather around the fire pit, marshmallows, and talk. I'm honestly glad that winter is coming to the Big Brother house, just solely that the pool is gone. And instead of them all being transfixed on the pool, they're now all hyper-focused on an object that makes them actually communicate and talk to one another instead of just potentially drowning. We see that after many hours, Makosi is still naked, doesn't have any motivation to put on any clothes. Meanwhile, the girls have mostly taken over the bathroom now.
Polomide bow. Shorg. Oh, Herksa.
When Brian enters the bathroom, we see that he actually has all these blotches and spots all over his skin. So instantly, Big Brother's going to just go ahead and call him into the diary room to try to sort all of that out, as we don't want anyone spreading that around. We don't want everyone else getting sick and getting the same thing. We want to make sure that he is totally fine. So we go ahead, we send him to the diary room, and we have a doctor come in and check him out.
Cringe. Boy, I'm cringe. Huh.
At 5:18 p.m., Nikki and Craig are woohooing in the shower, which is actually pretty surprising. I mean, recently we have been seeing Nikki and Pete kind of have a bit more one-on-one connection and talking privately, which, I mean, I was obviously shipping them for realistic reasons. However, Craig and her have been slowly forming a relationship, and it just kind of sprung out of nowhere. There really wasn't any lead up. All of a sudden, he just has her in the shower. We see that Brian is back in the house, fully recovered, however, not emotionally recovered, as he does seem still a bit down and upset today. Makosi has gone all day without putting on clothes, and she is gathered around the fireplace, even though now the fire has gone out, and is telling everyone a fabulous story before climbing into the hot tub.
Stirs with pump. Oh, chimney.
Big Brother decides to go ahead and tell the Ministry of Truth members that their shift in room 101 is officially over, and they can go ahead and leave and join the rest of the house guests in the main house.
Alfonso. Oh, chimney.
Flizza. Bouchard.
Most of the members go straight out into the garden. We see that Gary has decided to go ahead and take Makosi on that offer of skinny dipping with her, and has taken off his boxers and has gotten in there with Makosi. I'm pretty worried. The last time I've seen Makosi skinny dip with anyone in the hot tub, stuff got really frisky, and I don't want her to have another pregnancy scare, but this time with Gary Busey. I don't think that's a good look. And with her going underneath the water like that, it scares me. And if you peep in the background, we have New York and Bear continually flirting since leaving room 101. And I think with the vibe of like Makosi and Gary naked and everything like that, it is definitely tempting both of them to go ahead and start woohooing as well. But New York decides to end up just walking away and leaving that before it gets too spicy. I think potentially there's an object in the way of their woohoo location, but either way, they decided against it. Meanwhile, the bathroom is still pretty busy, and Nikki and Craig are still in the shower going at it, this time with a much bigger audience in there that can hear everything.
Bilba, Beffete.
Ziragua.
Run, check, you have.
Flizza.
While Cameron was in the bathroom, Big Brother noticed that he had some striped lines on his skin, some irritation. It wasn't the same exact thing that Brian had, so that illness isn't going around the house. However, he has his own separate illness that made him kind of have these itchy zebra striped lines on his skin. So Big Brother does decide to go ahead and call him into the diary room as well. That way we can have a doctor come check him out, make sure he's okay, and get that sorted out and not spread throughout the house as well. With winter coming, it also comes a lot of illnesses and sicknesses, and hopefully that doesn't take over the whole entire house. At 7:53 p.m., Big Brother calls all of the house guests into the living room, and we're calling them in here to discuss the issue with the Ministry of Love this week. Now, all of them did receive 5 big bucks for having to nominate face-to-face. However, accidentally, Big Brother did not make them nominate face-to-face this week. Instead, everyone nominated in private. And with the Ministry of Love's whole purpose is nominating face-to-face and spreading the love, we're going to have to go ahead and change a few things. So the 3 Ministry of Love members that we have in the room right now is Craig, Courtney, and Brian, with the 4th being Hellen, who right now is still in solitary confinement. Now, individually, all of the Ministry of Love members are going to meet and have a little bit of a one-on-one with the people that they have nominated. So Brian is going to go into the bedroom with both Courtney and Gary, who he both nominated. Also joining them is going to have to be Courtney, as Courtney has nominated Gary as well. And outside, we're going to have Craig go out there and meet up with Stephen Bear, as he has nominated him. Now, Craig and Courtney did nominate people that are in isolation right now, and they will be seeing them after. But for now, we're just going to go ahead and have these one-on-ones, where they will have to reveal their nomination, why they chose to nominate them, and they're going to have to hash out those problems for better or worse. Now, initially, it is going to be an insult and negatively impact the relationship, and it is up to them whether they resolve those issues or it continues to grow. When it comes to Bear and Craig, it does seem to be pretty heated at first. Bear isn't taking the news too lightly, and Craig is a bit fiery himself. However, Craig is a bit more of a person that kind of sort things out, and once Bear does vent his feelings, they do tend to come to an understanding and actually work it out and end up on just fine terms.
Stanisic.
Meanwhile, in the bedroom, things aren't going as smoothly. We see that initially Charley is already really uncomfortable as she has to use the bathroom. And Brian gets straight into it, kind of describing all the things that he doesn't like about her right away. Meanwhile, Courtney and Gary argue behind them as Courtney kind of points out what's wrong. And it's always kind of hard to argue with Gary as he's belligerent and weird. He can never put a full sentence together, and he also turns everything around to you and nothing is his fault. So even if you're not wanting to pick a fight with Gary, it instantly becomes a fight. And I think because Charley already wasn't in the mood to argue with anyone, none of the insults that Brian threw her way really stuck, and instead they have kind of an intelligent conversation with one another. And it seems as though Brian has to use the bathroom as well, so they're both just trying to get this to go ahead and end, for things to squash, the beef to be settled. And that isn't exactly what's going on with Courtney and Gary. Gary seems a bit bored, but Courtney is really fired up.
Growl.
Lanu?
Droga Melt Tonka.
Yonk?
Kazi.
Suchin!
Browers.
At 9:12 p.m., we're actually going to go ahead and send the Ministry of Love members, Craig and Courtney, into the isolation chambers. They did nominate people that are in isolation now. Courtney nominated Hellen, and Craig nominated Gemma. So now they are both going to pay each of those individuals a visit and tell them that they nominated them and why. It's pretty interesting that the first interaction that these girls are going to have with anyone this whole week is going to be the people that nominated them, and they're there to just yell at them and tell them why they're horrible people. Not a very nice interaction to have as your only interaction to sit and mull over for the remaining few days, especially for Hellen, as potentially she could go home this Friday, and the only interaction she had this whole time is her best friend putting her in isolation, and then Craig coming in, or Courtney coming in and yelling at her. We see that already Courtney instantly comes in, and he actually looks kind of sad and upset more than angry. I think already with the conversation with Gary, he kind of is just already upset and instantly kind of just gets aggravated. He declares Hellen his enemy and that he doesn't want anything to do with her. There is no recovering this relationship. There is no friendship here, and it's completely over. And she seems totally fine and content with that. In fact, she even seems kind of happy about it. Eventually, though, she does have to use the bathroom like everyone else in there, and she's like, hey, there's no privacy. You're in my room. This is my toilet. How about you go ahead and leave? And Courtney does. He goes ahead and leaves the room and gives her some privacy. That way she can use the bathroom in peace.
Skimbo.
So again, Craig has come to talk to Gemma, and this is actually the first time Gemma's even looked up from her phone this whole time, and instead of Craig being able to lay it on thick to Gemma on why he nominated her, she completely turns it around on him, starts screaming at him, starts yelling at him, telling him it's his fault. Instantly, he actually seems to feel bad and regret it, and of course she loves that. And so the two of them rekindle, and everything kind of ends up well. Craig was the only one to really come out of this unscathed, and maybe better off than he was before. Potentially these enemies that he had like him a little bit more now. So we're going to go ahead and have them return back to the house, as I don't want these inmates to have too much social interaction. At 9:58 p.m., most of the house guests actually go ahead and call it an early night. And weirdly, just New York sleeping naked, which why she did that to begin with, I don't really know. But just her doing that seemed to shock a lot of the house guests, and it really distracted them, as if she's like self-woohooing. I don't know what's the big hoopla since Makosi was naked all day long. But all the house guests slowly go into the bedroom and go to sleep. And for a few of these house guests, it could be their very last night in the house. And all of that's up to you. It's up to you to vote for who you want to save. Is that going to be Gary Busey? Is that going to be Stephen Bear? Or is that going to be Hellen Wood? Comment down below on who you want to save for eviction. There's also a poll going on my Twitter that you can go to. And if you are on my Twitter, go ahead and follow that as I post all the latest updates on the series, on my life, and other future projects. Also, you can follow me on Reddit and any other social media out there. I pretty much have them. Everything's listed below, as well as everyone's Big Bucks inquiry. And again, we are going to meet up again tomorrow for our second eviction as one person goes home, and all of that's determined by you. I'm loving this series. I hope you guys are too, and I will see you tomorrow. Bye.